Digital transformation, most people cannot define it.
This is an existential issue. We do three main things as human beings. We work, we live, and we study. People think technology and they think complexity.
Computers, phones,
Yes.
laptops, what's at stake? Why must companies go through digital transformation?
This should be like our digital rules. It's part of how we operate. It should be in our DNA. Why do organizations restructure? Where is that restructuring happening? Technology is about impacting people. The fusion of both emerged and emerging technologies.
Emerged and emerging technology.
What is different now is what you can do with it. Are you willing to be playing at the highest level as an organization? Because without data, AI is hamstrung. But this is a journey without a destination.
It's about the people upskilling, and you have to want it.
What is the big picture of this digital transformation journey? When the organization tells us to be digitally savvy, what does it really mean?
Hello and welcome to Safaricom Newsroom Podcast. Today we are going to be discussing about all things digital transformation. Every company is looking for a head of digital transformation, their departments on digital transformation, but do we really understand what digital transformation is at an individual level and also at an organizational level? Today, I'll be your host, Julian Kamau, Manager Content Creation. And the person to bring this topic to life is Joe Kanyua. He has 18 years experience in the digital transformation space. He's worked at Oracle, he's also worked at SAP, and now he's working at Safaricom, where he's going to be leading this very important topic. So Joe, I know that you have a passion for digital transformation, and actually you call yourself the digital transformation evangelist. What does that even mean?
You have met an evangelist in one or the other. These are people who tell the gospel around something. And if you look at technology companies across the globe, especially the top tier, you'll see they hire people they call chief evangelist, chief technology evangelist. Their purpose is actually to spread the gospel, to try to break down. We know people think technology and they think complexity. Then how do we actually break down all those complexities? Because technology is about impacting people. It's about making people work better. It's about making people live better, study better in a better ways. So how do we break it down to the level at which, no matter your level of education or your domain of expertise, you can be able to understand this? The same way a preacher in church will be aiming to convert as many souls as possible to the gospel. That's what digital evangelists or technology evangelists do. They keep evangelizing so that people can create a culture of understanding that I need to be converted to be a digitally intelligent and eloquent person. So the intention is the same, only that the gospel here is digital transformation.
Digital transformation is a complex word. Most people cannot define it. And
Yes.
even further,
Yes.
differentiating between digital transformation, digitization, digitalization. What do those three things mean?
So digitization is simply taking something from analog format and converting it to digital. Digitize is an important part to start with because there are people who are very paper oriented and they don't even have like invoices or case files, for example, that are stored, or receipts for our customers that we don't even convert first. If we lose it, then we lose it completely. So digitization is a very important part to start. Then we go to the digitalization. Digitalization now introduces an aspect of every business runs through business processes, including here at Safaricom. You can actually be able to map all the major business processes, whether we are talking about the front office or the back office. The front office here, I'm speaking about teams that deal with customers on a day-to-day basis. So those are the front office team. And the back office team are their supporting functions. The human capital management, the HR function is a supporting function. The finance function, they might not be dealing with customers on a day-to-day basis, but we usually say if the front office and the back office has a disjoint, then that's where bad customer experience happens and the customer won't know that it was the back office that was not okay. So to piece together the front office and the back office, we have what we call business processes. So these business processes, they can span the entire organization, like we can say the lead to cash to care process, which spans the way we sell, from how we pick leads from a marketing perspective, to how we bring those leads to become opportunities and then orders, and then we get the money in, and then we care for that customer when you're using any of our products. So in that particular context, that business process, if we infuse digital technologies to make it much more intelligent, to help you to become much more productive, and to help that process to become much more effective, and to be less error prone, and to reduce risks within that process, then we say we are digitalizing. So we are infusing smart digital technologies in a business process to make it smarter and to make people create a step change in productivity and to make those processes much more intelligent. That is called digitalization. Okay. So when you do both digitalization and digitization, then you can see the value, because then you can use the digital content we talked about in digitization, and then you can use it within the business process in an intelligent way.
So digitization is from analog to digital.
Correct.
Archiving things that were in analog format, yes, into digital format. Yes. And then digitalization involves processes of a business or an organization. So what is digital transformation?
Now, after you've done those two that we have spoken about, now we start talking about digital transformation. The word transformation here is very, very important, because it actually starts to bring a perspective to say that we can actually do things, but it's just incremental change. It's not transform. To transform is to move from one form completely into a paradigm shift of doing things. So in a simple definition, I would say that digital transformation is the systems level restructuring that happens in an organization like Safaricom, or in a society, or even in the economy, when you diffuse digital technologies. So when we say it's a structural level, a system level restructuring, we are saying that those systems that we interact with when we are doing those three, how do we really interact? How intelligent do we interact? How repeatable do we interact? Why do organizations restructure, for example? They restructure to become lean, to become agile, to become fit for future. So even at the system level, we need to be able to restructure them continuously to make them lean, flexible, future-proof, and fit for purpose. Where is that restructuring happening? It happens in an organization like Safaricom, or a society. That's why we talk about digital societies. So like we look at, you can look at the Kenyan community, the entire citizenry, and you can actually measure how digitally intelligent that societies are judged. There are reports to do that. You can see some countries are doing, just like the happiness index, you can do the digital happiness index, and you can see different countries will fall in different areas of the map. Or economies, the president keeps talking about digital economy. We need to take advantage of the information economy through digital transformation. But then the last part of that definition had to do with digital diffusion. Definitely digital transformation involves picking up technology and then diffusing it into either society or an organization or an economy. These digital technologies, they can be emerged or emerging. Remember, we don't have to always talk about the fancy things happening now. A system as old, say, as a system of record, like an enterprise resource planning system, an ERP, it can help you to digitally transform. So for an organization, different organizations will be at different levels of maturity. So you will see, like here at Safaricom, we definitely have an ERP system, an enterprise resource planning system. We have a customer relationship management system. But some other organizations don't have. So probably in their digitalization or digital transformation journey, they should be starting from there. So the diffusion of both emerged and emerging technologies, very, very important. Emerged those systems that nowadays we even say, that's a legacy system. It's shocking that very many people don't even have that legacy system. But then emerging technologies, these are technologies that keep on coming on as a result of an explosion of very many factors. So like today we can't talk cloud computing if we are not talking about networks at scale, for example. And you see, we build a network.
Before we get to cloud computing, I want you to give us an example of emerged technologies and emerging technology.
A good example of an emerged technology is a relationship database management system. Just an RDBMS, what people call a DB or a database. Yeah, database technology has become mainstream. Yes. So whether everyone at least have an understanding, even if their database is an Excel sheet, it can be a spreadsheet, for example, or it can be a relational database where you can use, say, SQL to query. You can post commands to query. That's an emerged technology. technology, and it's still very relevant. All the data that we gather here for our customers, for our employees, for our business partners, or even data that comes from the network nodes, for example, it ends up in a database somewhere. So we can say to an extent, well, I'm not saying there are no changes happening at there, but at least the database is a very well emerged technology. But there are emerging technologies. When you start to hear people say, okay, we are creating a digital twin, for example, we are using artificial intelligence, machine learning, we are using the metaverse to create better experiences in our retail stores. These are all emerging technologies that we need to figure out, augmented reality, virtual reality. These are emerging technologies. Some of them might not qualify as new because AI, for example, AI has been there since the 1950s. What is different now is what you can do with it, because without data, AI is hamstrung. And now data is growing at a very high rate. That's why everyone is talking about artificial intelligence, because the algorithms, they feast on.
So basically what you're saying is that the AI has been there for a while,
yes,
but it's become smarter. Right?
Yes,
it can do, it has more capabilities.
Yeah, the possibilities. Even when I was at the university and in the fourth year of study, I studied the artificial intelligence, at least the principles, the fundamentals. So, and that's almost 20 years ago. So there's nothing completely new. What is new is the capabilities and possibilities of what you can do today, because data has grown at scale. The cost of compute power has actually gone down. The cost of storage of these petabytes or zettabytes of data has gone down. And then therefore, you can be able then to learn to teach an algorithm from a bigger sample of data. Those are the new possibilities. That's why we're talking about machine learning at scale nowadays.
How important is digital transformation? What's at stake? Why must companies go through digital transformation?
The difference between leading companies and those that are lagging, the laggards and the leaders, will be completely down to how digitally eloquent they become. And that's why digital transformation is a very, very vital topic. It's more of an existential threat. If you are thinking about competing today, you need to compete from a digital age. So initially, people would compete from a first mover advantage, for example. But nowadays, if you want to really differentiate, if you want to offer greater customer experience, because at the end of the day, customer experience is a competitive edge. How will you be able to figure out customer experience if you are not able to actually meet customers where they are, number one? Nowadays, the typical customer that we have, especially with the digital natives becoming the critical mass of the population, they are on digital channels. So if you are not there, then you are missing a very, very vital percentage of the customer base. I keep saying, this is an existential threat issue. Like, are you willing to be playing at the highest level as an organization? If you are willing, if that's your plan or is your intention, it's our mission, then we really have to figure out digital. This is a language that we must speak. This is something that we must internalize. This is something that we must invest in. We must become leaders in this particular space.
You spoke about data. So of course, AI is speaking a lot of how we are consuming content. It knows my location. It knows what I'm searching for, my preferences, and that's why it's able to recommend certain programs to me and recommend different programs to another person. But also that brings in the issue of data protection. How does that play out under digital transformation?
Yeah, the topic of data is a very vital one to have, because really data is at the core of any digital transformation efforts, including here at Safaricom. Data is a raw material, very, very important. We can look at it as that. It's an input into a bigger process. But if the raw material has not been curated very well, if it has not been protected very well, it has not been nurtured very well, if the raw materials is siloed, then already you can start seeing the challenges that you're going to get downstream, even as you try to convert that data into information, the information to knowledge, and knowledge to wisdom. So now, data comes in all facts. It can be files. It can be, say, biodata stored in a CRM application. It can be an invoice, for example, generated from an ERP, or it can be the call data records or probes that come from the network and end up somewhere, and then we use those logs to be able to tell how well the network is working. So data comes in all forms. People talk big data, but what that phrase means is data that has high velocity, meaning it's streaming in very fast, and it has variety. So data that can be structured and structured. semi-structured, so it has variety, and volume. 3 V's. Volume means something that's growing very, very quickly, and then therefore the storage and the computing that you need, the compute power that you need to process it. So data can be in any form, but you bring a very important point on data security. Let's talk about security and safety broadly, so that we can bring the topics of data privacy, data protection, data sovereignty, data residency, all these topics that we are hearing. You will see within Safaricom, we have a department that is responsible for consumer data privacy, that they think about, are we just gathering data that is so important, at least in the context of the relationship we have with our customers and business partners and employees, but are we really putting serious safeguards around privacy? Because data, you know, we talk about data, but we don't think about the implications of, for example, a data leak. Have you ever seen a company, for example, suffer a data leak? The reputational damage would be very big. And we look at ourselves as a trusted brand. We can never say we are a trusted brand if we really don't handle our customer data or our business partners' data with the integrity that it requires. So we gather data for purposes for which we gather it, and we don't use that data for purposes for which a customer did not consent, for example. So the issue of consent is very, very important. So part of digitalization, and here now as part of digital transformation, is actually making sure that we are using the latest, best technologies to actually introduce cybersecurity controls within your organization. So that's also part of digital transformation, so that we don't expose this great organization to very serious possible reputational issues, and also customer distrust, for example. So this is a very serious issue. When we start talking data, we have to think first, privacy first, data protection. This should be like our digital rules. It's part of how we operate. It should be in our DNA that we think about privacy first, data security first.
So you talked about how using technology, or rather AI, which is technology, to replace what human beings are doing. So you say that if the work can be done by a machine, we need to eliminate the humans. So they need to transition from doing repetitive and manual tasks that can be done by a machine to focus on the creative aspect of the work. Then again, this conversation has been happening a lot. I'm sure you've seen it on the X platform.
Yes.
It brings about the issue of job losses. How can companies like Safaricom navigate this digital transformation process without creating friction between humans and digital transformation? Because again, the main thing that comes when people hear we are going digital, we're going through digital transformation, for a number of people, they feel they're going to be losing jobs, they're going to become redundant. How do you become an evangelist without making people, of digital transformation, without making people feel insecure about their job?
Yeah, well, the fear is well known. I think people hear automation and they think, then what will be my role? How will I secure my financial future? Well, those fears, I can understand where they are coming from. But to be very honest, there are things that I would encourage many of my colleagues to really move outside of the fear and ask yourself, how will you complement these intelligent machines? Because they're going to be there whether you like it or not. Today, if you have booked an airline or you have taken a digital loan, you have interacted with an algorithm that is artificially intelligent. So these things are not out there in the future. The question is, how are you preparing yourself to be complementary to that intelligent era that we are already living in and that we shall continue living in the near future? And this is where the question comes. When people say, when the organization tells us to be digitally savvy, what does it really mean? It means that, number one, you have inculcated a culture of continuous learning, because most of the tools that you will use to do your job, most of them will be digital in nature. If you think from that context, that we want you to have a mindset that says, whatever will come my way, I will find a way to acclimatize to that digital era, and I won't feel like I am changing drastically. So we want you to inculcate that digital culture mindset, to say that I'm ready, I understand that we won't be working the way we used to work 20 years ago, and therefore it's me to change. So how do you change? If you want to learn something, if you want to be ready for something, what do? That's why we went to school in the first place. So school gives you a perspective. You keep learning. Nowadays, school is not somewhere we go. It's something we do, like in our smartphones. You can learn on the move, and Safaricom has very many platforms and the course content that, say, for example, in Udemy, Safaricom Grow. The content that is curated there is to help you to give your mind much more, to give you some smarts and wit to be able to acclimatize in this digital era. So when we say you need to be digital ready, that's what we mean. We want you to be agile. We want you not to fear to tinker around with emerging technologies. You need at least, I don't expect every one of us will become a machine learning engineer. That's not my expectation. But at least in terms of being able to use a device, a computing device, whether it's a smartphone, a tablet, a desktop, to be able to do things in a smarter way. For example, working with data, everyone should try at least to be able to do some simple data analysis so that you can find nuggets of wisdom from data sets, for example. You can have a lot of data, but if you are not making sense out of that data because you lack even basic skills, even to be able to manipulate, just to extrapolate something in a graph and be able to tell what are these numbers from our sales perspective, from our customer contact center perspective, what is these numbers telling? Is the demand in a call center increasing or is it reducing? So there are some basic skills that everyone who works for us, who works in this organization should still have around data analysis. And this will require then you to be at least to be able to tinker around with tools, to study, to train yourself, and to not fear these gizmos. So yeah, the fear is not unfounded, but the fear, I don't want us to remain on the fear. I want us to be proactive, to find how to acclimatize in this new era and find ways of settling in the digital era that will gonna come, whether you like it or not, by shifting your mindsets and preparing yourself.
So basically, what you're saying is for you to survive in this digital era, one, you need to know how to use gadgets,
yes,
computers, phones,
yes,
laptops, I mean, all these gadgets. Maybe for a business that's looking to start this journey, an organization that they know they need to start on this digital transformation journey and they don't know where to start. What are the stages of digital transformation at the bare minimum? Where can they start it off?
If today a company is starting, it actually has a better chance of succeeding at digital transformation than one that has already started. So we talk about companies that are born in the digital era, digital natives. You see, the advantage of those digital native companies is that they are starting from a much better position where many of these technologies have become mainstream, so they can actually just say we are a digital native. And I've seen very many retailers, for example, which don't even own any physical buildings. Probably they just do this purchase from a central place. They don't have a retail store, but they interact with customers on digital channels, on social media, and they pick orders online on an app or a given e-commerce website. So those companies are born in the cloud, and they have a major advantage. They have an advantage over, say, very established companies that have institutionalized or made some archaic ways of working, if I can say so, become a little bit mainstream. So if you are starting today, you have actually that advantage. You should actually be able to leapfrog and start from a clean slate. Not to say that the startups actually do that, often, not to say that they do that, and that is actually a pity because they are not taking advantage of the possibilities today.
Actually, on that, what I meant with my question is, because can you do digital transformation when you're starting a company, or is that for an existing company? Because what are you transforming to?
No, that's a good question. You can actually, digital transformation, it doesn't really matter where you're actually starting. Yes, so it's just that then the impact, and what I was trying to raise here is that in that particular case, then you wouldn't say you are transforming something legacy, but you are actually transforming maybe an industry. You are starting to do very different things in a very different way in a given niche area. So in that way, you will be transforming an industry or a niche area of doing business. So that's why I was talking about those digital natives. However, for a company like Safaricom, it already, say we have been in operation for the last 20, 25 years or thereabout. There are things that we started, for example, with the digitization part. Remember now, the digitization, there are things we have digitalized, and there are things we have digitally transformed. But this is a journey without a destination. You have to keep doing incremental, small things, but with a bigger picture in mind. So if you don't know the bigger picture, then it becomes your digital transformation strategy will be confused. So you are asking me about stages. Yes, different companies, especially the established ones, will be at different stages of digital transformation. There are those who will be really just scratching the surface, like they are doing only digitization. Like remember, just converting, maybe we say, okay, we are not going to do away with paper, but every time a customer fills a form, we'll scan that form and we'll put it in a shared folder so that we never lose that form. So you see, even them, they're already doing something, but if we are talking about in a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is the most digitally transformed or digitally savvy organization, they might be at 1 or 2. And then we talk about the digital maturity index, for example. We can give it a score between 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, wherever you want. And with those scores, what they'll be doing is to say, to what extent are you actually harnessing both digitization, digitalization, to actually create a digital transformation effort within the organization. And then we can apply that in different functions or in the company as a whole. So yes, it's a journey, and different organizations, regardless of the scale, they'll be at different levels within that journey. The aim should be, do I know where my digital transformation blueprint should be? Do I know it? Here at Safaricom, that's something we are working on. We want actually to be able to know what is the big picture of this digital transformation journey. Then we can start picking one piece of the puzzle at a time within that big picture. And then every other time we look at the value realization, we measure ourselves. Are we actually moving closer? Are we moving the needle towards where we want to be fully digitally oriented? And many other organizations are doing the same. Okay. Yes, and when we say it's a journey without a destination, it doesn't mean that it's an infinite loop. For example, it means that I have set my digital foundation very, very well. Just like we talk about houses, we can build, if the structure is standing and it's solid, I can change the rooms anytime that I want and the structure will still remain. So when we say it's a journey without a future, we don't necessarily mean that you will have to keep reinventing each and every part of the bigger picture. But we'll set the digital transformation foundation very right to ensure that we can change things on the fly and we can adapt to any emerging, who knows what will be emerging tomorrow. We can be able to infuse it and it won't come and destabilize our digital foundations.
So for the almost 2 decade years that you worked on digital transformation, what are the largest barriers to digital transformation?
I think the reason why an organization like Safaricom would found a digital transformation team is to first understand what are some of the things that hinder us really from being in that utopia, a very perfect place where we are digital in all aspects. Our customers are happy, our shareholders are happy, our employees are happy. The hindrances usually come from what we call, we can start with even basic soft things. There is a reason why people talk about culture a lot. And you see our human resources division tries to tell us, to try to ram some of these things, like to tell us about the 4 C's that we have to keep to consider: the customer, the company, the colleagues. All these things are part of the culture that they want to model. A typical Safaricom employee should be actually be able to espouse that and to know that wherever they work, within the organization in its breadth, they should know that our mission is one, is to transform lives. In this organization, we want every employee to be able to know their mission. If we are saying that we are going to become a purpose-led technology company, then there are things that we need to shake up. We remember we are fusing, we are bringing historical operations as a communication service provider, and now we are saying becoming a technology company. So we are bringing two related industries, I would say, because also you can't offer communication services without that. Yes, without technology. They are kind of related, but the way you're going to operate in a tech co, you really have to have that mind shift. And that's why one of the biggest barriers is the people who actually, because it's our staff actually who make it happen. Whether they work for us directly or they work for our extended partners, these are the people who actually make Safaricom deliver on its mission to transform lives. So we want the mindset they bring, the culture they espouse, to actually now be, well, as we have spoken earlier, to have that digital inclination, so that they can achieve what they want to do. They can be much more productive. They can achieve what they want to do much more quickly. Then there's legacy. When we talk about the technology debt, sometimes you can have a lot of siloed technologies that actually inhibit you being able to actually now take advantage of the topic of data that we are talking about. So we'll consistently aim to break those silos and create more synergies, because it's the synergies that within our technology resources, and most importantly, our most important asset. We try to create more bridges and break more silos, so that as an organization we have one face wherever the customer looks at us, and most importantly, we become information driven, not even just data driven, because if you're data driven, we talk information comes from data. We want to learn more from the data, so that we are much more informed. Some other barriers to digital transformation, I think we touched on the soft skills. We talked about the hard skills. There's also the inclination of people wanting to, comfort zone. We love comfort zones, because I work like this, then why should I really change? I'll still get my salary. No. We want people to find innovative ways of working. And that's why the word creativity and innovation comes in. We want people to exercise. Everyone has a creativity part. So long as you work for Safaricom, you qualify to work here, you definitely have something to offer on that stream. So we want to not just do business as usual. We want to do business unusual without breaking things. Of course, we need to be compliant. But we want people really to bring that, because thriving in a digital age requires a lot of thinking, reimagining things. So can we step out of our comfort zones, and then go into uncharted territory and find those breakthrough things that help not only our customers in the real sense, the people who pay for the products and services, but also help us internally to be much better. Then there can be issues of, say, legal, regulatory, but as you and I know, innovation always goes ahead of all these things. So we know we are also in a regulated industry, and we definitely need to do good. We need to do business in a sustainable manner, and we need to do proper business that is above board. But that is now the challenge. We need to put our creative thinking hat on, but also remember very well, I don't think any regulator out there in the world aims at creating an impediment for businesses that are willing to go to extremities. What the regulators have become, they become more facilitators. So we'll work very closely in cognizance of that, so that we don't say, no, it won't pass the regulatory stream. No, that's not the mindset. And we also have our in-house council. We have our regulatory corporate affairs team members who are colleagues within here that we can consult, even as we work in an agile manner in our different schools, in our different tribes, to ensure that whatever we are building, whatever we are creating, will still conform.
It's good to know that it's mainly about the culture, yes. It's about the people, it's about upskilling, and you have to want it because it's important. Right. How does digital transformation work for governments?
We look at ourselves and the place and the value that we deliver in an economy like Kenya. And I don't think anyone, say in government, can speak about digital transformation without asking really. These companies like a company like Safaricom and any of the competitors in the place, what role are they really playing in the economy? And I don't think there is any argument on that. But digital transformation is an imperative, not just for profit companies, it's also an imperative for government. Remember, governments are funded by the people. and the people want value for their money. So if you are going to tax us, you are going to slap us with all forms of taxes, then we'll also demand value for our money. So how will government deliver value for money if itself is not able to, number one, be lean, being lean and being agile and be flexible? If the government is going to serve citizens in a very lean way, so they are not collecting taxes and spending half of that in just creating operations and hiring people to serve. So the government also has to figure out digital transformation. You can see from the Safaricom end, we have someone responsible for for engaging the Kenyan government at whatever level, the national level or at the devolved level, on matters of digitization and digitalization and digital transformation. And the main aim of doing that is to ensure that, just like in any private entity organization, that they will track the milestones around their digital maturity journey, that also becomes institutionalized. Then also they can avoid wastage, so that you don't have multiple ministries, departments, and agencies investing pretty much in the same digital technologies, but without even a pointed way of how it contributes to the wider. Remember the architecture we are talking about. They can create synergies there, because a county, Nakuru County, Murang'a County, Vihiga County, Kwale County, they have a lot of similarities in terms of how they actually deliver to the citizen. So can they create synergies to actually invest in the right digital technologies, and even where it makes sense to co-share? There's no point raising a cloud data center in each and every county, yet you can actually be able to access all that in a central data center, because these technologies also sometimes they come at a very, very high price. The government's customer is the citizen. Whether that citizen is born here or they are visitor here, they are tourists or they are an alien, they are a foreigner, so long as they are within this jurisdiction, the aim should be to give them a great citizen experience. And it is impossible to talk about the citizen experience today in the world we are living now without talking about aspects of knowing someone, and knowing someone digitally is very, very different. Like identity, customer citizen identity. Can we have a central way of identifying our citizens, so that I'm not asked this question when I go here, I'm not asked for the PIN when I go here, I'm still the same person. I don't change. The only thing that changes in my life is age. Yes, like yesterday I was younger than today. I've seen companies, I've seen some startups saying that people really nowadays really don't even die, because their digital world, it supersedes them and is still real and is still very alive. But to do that, then the government has to continuously then invest in the right skills, find digitally oriented, digitally savvy professionals, and incentivize them to work for them. Ensure that they are also building digital skills in communities at the end of the day. Remember, no point investing in something that people won't use. So the digital enablement helped by many organizations, whether the United Nations or any of the development partners, those initiatives, I really like seeing them, because they are helping our communities to become much more digitally savvy. Then structures, set up leaner structures, and also take advantages of economies of scale, so that we don't have a lot of wastage with the different ministry, department, and agencies investing in each and every piece of bit, yet they can actually synergize and take advantage of that. Then the measurement. We need to see as a society. Remember, our definition of digital transformation includes society and economy. So as an economy, to what extent are we taking up digital opportunities? Are we taking advantage of them to create, make sure if agriculture is the backbone of the economy, then we also need to start saying digital, can we replace it with in the information society, or we complement them for them to be at par, because that will really, really, really help. Yeah.
What would be your parting shot on this topic of digital transformation?
Yeah, well, as you have seen, it's a it's a broad topic, but I think my parting shot is to say that the digital transformation won't be driven by the department that I head. It will be driven by everyone within this organization. At every level, you have to ask yourself, really, if the business is telling us that it's on a mission to really transform lives, whatever I'm doing and how I'm doing it, am I really contributing to that? So if the business wants to create a step change in productivity, you can see we have a productivity team, a team that is responsible for productivity, then really, are we creating a step change in productivity by taking advantage of digital technologies that we have today? If you are saying that we need to be operationally efficient, are we really actually achieving that? And we'll have a scientific way of measuring that. If you are saying we are going to be customer obsessed through offering and we are going to differentiate through customer experience, are we walking that talk? So on those three, create a step change in productivity, create operational efficiencies, and number three, be customer obsessed. And here I'm talking about enhanced customer experience, this particular context. Those three, to me, they will be the yardstick of how much digital transformation will help really transform this organization, especially now as we become a technology company. But I am confident. I know the caliber of employees by and large that Safaricom has. So I'm not very, very, very worried, but we can never be complacent. We have to keep on create this, let it become part of our bloodstream, our DNA of how we do things. We think digital first. We think about those three imperatives that I've just given you. And I think it's advantageous for everyone. The more digitally savvy, the more you'll be ready for the future, even when that future will be dealing with machines on a day-to-day basis. And a machine is not just a physical machine, but algorithms, things like artificial intelligence that will augment how we do things. They will complement how we do things. And then that future of the machine and the human, it will be an exciting future for all of us, regardless of the demographic band that you belong to.
Digital transformation starts and ends with the customer. So it's understanding the customer, and also digital is here to stay. We have to adopt it because there's no future without digital. So either you upskill or you could be left out. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you've learned quite a bit. You can leave your comments for us on the comment section or wherever it is that you're here listening us from or watching us from. And until next time, thank you very much.